In this video I'm going to show you how I tackle some landscaping issues in the front of my house. One of the problems I have is there's several different layers of landscaping. One of the layers is mulch and then a layer of plastic. Another layer is rock, river rock with a layer of plastic. Then I have these scallop type bricks that are used for the edging of the, planting area, or not sure quite what you would call it. The way it stands right now, it'd be very difficult to plant anything with all the rock that is underneath. So I'm going to remove the layer of mulch and then a layer of rock. I'm going to remove as much rock as I can. I'm also going to be repurposing some of the river rock. I'm going to use it as part of my base for the rock, or for the brick that I'm going to install as the edging, and then I'll use the other part of the river rock somewhere else. I'm also going to be reusing the scalloped edging. I'm going to use that for my first row of brick that'll get covered with dirt. You can see here as I lift up the fabric, you can see the rock, the river rock that's underneath. It's already starting to fill up with some of the dirt, so this is going to be difficult to remove. And it looks to be under all the previous landscaping. I want my brick edging to have curves and radiuses, so I'm going to use a piece of conduit, marking paint, and dry line to mark those out. First I'll take a few measurements and figure out where I want everything. Then I'll take a piece of conduit, pound it in the ground, and use the dry line to mark my radiuses. Then all I'll do is hold the string to the spray can and then just start marking the circles where I think I want the brick edging to be. Now I've got the corner radius right about where I want it, and then I can work on the others. I don't want the brick edging to go higher than the slab of my porch, so I'm going to use a level and stack the bricks to see how many layers of brick I'm going to need to create my brick edging. Here I've removed all the old stone scallop and dug a trench where I want the new landscaping bricks to go. I've dug this deep enough to put a layer of gravel down for a base. This is where I'm going to reuse the existing scallops. In certain areas the first layer of brick isn't going to show, and I don't want to use good brick, so I'll use this as the first layer. Then as the paver brick starts to show, I'll switch over to the paver brick and start laying the rest of the stone. I'm using paver base for my stone base, and you can see here I've reused some of the river rock as the first layer, and then I'll put the paver base over that. The paver base is a lot finer stone, and it'll compact really well. Here I'm laying the paver base down just a little bit ahead of where I'm setting the stone. Then I will compact it and check the bricks for level. Here I'll pound the paver base with a rubber mallet to bring it to level. As I'm moving on, I'll make some slight adjustments to make sure I'm following the radius that I want. As I'm making the radius, I'm not really worried about the gaps in the bricks for the first couple layers. I will miter the top layer so you don't see the gaps from the top. And I'll do this with the entire first row until I reach the other end of the patio. When I get to the end, it's not a full brick, so I'll use a diamond blade in the mini grinder to cut a piece to fit. Now I've got the whole first row done. Now you'll see here I'm stepping down. That's because the lawn starts going downhill here. I'm stepping down here to keep the same amount of bricks, same layers of bricks. So if I have 3 layers, I want 3 layers showing all the way around. Now I could have made this all one level, so that some areas you would see 2 rows of bricks and some you might see 4 rows of bricks. It would have taken more brick to do it that way. Now I'm ready to start the second row. I'm going to start at the mitered corner. And I'm going to make these smaller than the bottom row because I don't want the seams to line up. Here I'm also using a diamond blade in the mini grinder to cut the angles. I made the 2 miter bricks shorter so that the seams won't line up when I start the next row. Here I'm using landscape glue to glue the bricks together. However, since making this video, I've been using construction adhesive, and it seems to work a lot better. Here I'm working on the last row of brick. I'm going to call it the top cap. And I'm cutting angles on all of them because I don't want a large gap in between each brick for the top cap. You can see here on the previous layers I didn't miter them and I have wide gaps in between. That doesn't bother me for the bottom rows, but for the top row I want those a lot tighter. Usually for the top row or the top cap, the bricks for those are a lot wider and more expensive. This type of block doesn't come with a top cap, so what I've done is move the brick out over the front edge about 1 inch to 1.5 inches to make it look like it's a top cap. So the miters don't have to be perfect, so there's no measuring for them, so I'm kind of eyeballing how much I need to take off so I don't have that gap in between the bricks. Now I'm going to start the other side. I want both sides of the sidewalk to look the same, and then after that I'll make some different designs through the landscaping area. So I'm going to do the same thing on this side at the start as I did on the other side. I had to remove the rock in this area. It was very difficult, so I had to use the tiller to dig up some of the rock. Then it was a lot easier to remove. Here you can see where I'm reusing the scallop brick. It's for the first layer and it'll be buried underground so you won't see it. You can see here I moved the top layer over an inch or an inch and a half to give it a top cap look. All the brick for this job cost me about $280. The truckload of mulch cost me about $60, which is way cheaper than bags. And the paver base rock, I think that was about $50 for the bags of rock.